Good morning, good afternoon, or wherever you are. Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. This is, I'll be your host today. This is May the 15th, and I hope that you had a great Mother's Day yesterday. I know here in the Comox Valley, it was really great weather, hot, sunny, and everyone had a great time. So I hope everybody did have a good time yesterday and thought about their mothers. If you are watching this here today in the audience, thank you so much for coming. If you are watching this as a YouTube or over on YouTube, thank you for being there. And if you're watching this as a YouTube short, just click the link and I'll take you right to the show. This is our Monday show. It's called Tech for Senior Live, and we have a big show for you today. We will be I'll be introducing our staff in a moment, but we're going to start out with Bob, of course, has his security news update. Then Bill's going to talk, or Bray's going to talk about Mini Computer Part 2. His very popular Part 1 was well received. Hewie's going to tell us all about Google and Timeline. I'm going to talk about Docsis 4. Bet you don't know what Docsis is. We'll talk about that. And then Bob's going to finish up with 6 tricks and tips with your Wi-Fi. And Ray, of course, has our music outro. So that is our show today. And we'll be getting started in just a minute. But I wanted to remind everybody again about our Saturday newsletter. For those of you who saw the newsletter, I had a lot of fun this week. The featured article, or the featured YouTube site, was called WDR Classic, K-L-A-S-S-I-K, and this is a professional orchestra in Europe who has this site, and they did a medley of James Bond themes, and it was so good. I wondered, who are these people? And they have, of course, a YouTube channel, and they do public presentations monthly as they go through the and they do it on all sorts of different topics or musicals, and it's great, and it's all free. So it is in the link for our Saturday newsletter if you are interested. But if you're not interested in music, you got to listen to that James Bond themes one. It was really good, and I put the link in there for you. We will be having on June the 5th, which is a Monday. Hewie usually does the first Monday of the month, but we're going to change the schedule around a bit because my family is arriving. So I'm going to be doing the first two Mondays of the month, and then Hewie's going to do the next 2. On June the 5th, which is the first one, we are going to have bring a guest to Tech for Senior. So we'd like, if you can, we'd like you to find somebody that might be interested in the show. Maybe they've got a computer and can do Zoom, and we'd like you to ask them to come along. And that's going to occur on the 5th. It'll be a regular show. Maybe it will be a bit smaller, because we'd like you, if you want, you could maybe introduce who your guest is, and we'll bring a guest to Tech for Senior, and that will be on June the 5th. Now, just a minute, sorry. Now then, next week, of course, I know you've all been waiting for this because Chris Gould will be talking on photography, and she's going to be here next week, and she's going to be giving you tips. Doesn't matter if you have an iPhone, an Android phone, or even an Android or an iPhone or a tablet. She's going to give you tips, or a Samsung phone. She's going to give you tips on photography, and it should be a great show next week. So you may also want to, if you know some people wanting to come, bring them as well next week. But that'll be Chris Gould will be, Geeks on Tour will be main part of our show next week. Let me just introduce Hewie, of course, yesterday. Hewie, well done. It was great. Do you want to give us?
You're freezing a little bit, Ron, so I'll take over. Yeah, yesterday I had the Windows Special Interest Group. It is a combination of the Sarasota group and Central Florida, and we do it once a month. And we had a nice crowd and and a good session. I just go through a whole bunch of articles about Windows that came out in the last month, and we just go through them, and then we go off in tangents and try things and do things, and it's a show and tell, and as well as just here's a list of articles that you can refer to.
Yes.
All right. Bob.
I see me twice.
Well, that's good. So we're doing a rebranding of Tech for Senior. And this is, of course, our picture that we have and know to love. And that's your big smile we all know. What do you think of that?
Hey,
I haven't had that much hair since I think I was 17.
All right. All right. All right. So tell me what you think of that. That's you don't like that. I don't like that.
No.
yeah, the first one was better.
But that I like
that
that
one. Yeah, that one I
one's
do
not
too.
bad.
What do you think of
That's
that?
not
I
bad.
really,
That-
I
very
really,
good.
like-
Yep.
yeah.
That changes his whole personality.
I think that's
Yeah,
the real Bob, don't you?
Would you send me that wig, please?
Oh, I
No,
can.
no,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
what
the
do you
last one better.
You like the last one. So I think the consensus is
Send
this.
me the wig. I'll be happy to wear it.
That's the best one.
That's the best one.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, that's good. That's great. I just wanted to get that going.
Oh,
All right,
Yeah, AI can be fun.
it can indeed, and we'll be having some more fun with AI. So as we move along, we'll be talking a lot about AI. Of course, we have Bill James, Ray Baxter. I'm going to move. Bill, did you have anything quick you wanted to say, or Ray? We want to move on and get the show going.
Okay, to move on by me.
Okay.
Good morning, all.
All right. Okay.
Here's my security news roundup for the week ending May 12th, 2023. Dallas, Texas ransomware attack continues to affect city services. The city of Dallas attacked by ransomware gang Royal. City services still affected. Neither the city manager nor the mayor are doing interviews. Ransomware is a widespread problem in which criminals gain access to computer servers, lock them out, and demand payment in exchange for access. Dallas says a group called Royal was behind the attack. The city of Dallas gave an update on the many departments affected by this attack. Jim McDade, president of the Dallas Firefighters Association, says the ransomware attack is forcing the fire department to use a radio and paper system. Read the full details at fox4news.com. Western Digital confirms hackers stole customer data. Western Digital provided an update to its security investigation, saying, "We confirm that an unauthorized party obtained a copy of a Western Digital database used for our online store that contained some personal information of our online store customers. The stolen data included customer names, email addresses, telephone numbers, and billing and shipping addresses. There were also hashed and salted passwords and partial credit card numbers in the database, though Western Digital says that information was encrypted. Read more at howtogeek.com. How one of Vladimir Putin's most prized hacking units got pawned by the FBI. FBI officials on Tuesday dropped the major bombshell. After spending years monitoring exceptionally stealthy malware that one of the Kremlin's most advanced hacker units had installed on hundreds of computers around the world, agents uploaded a payload that caused the malware to disable itself. The counter-hack took aim at Snake, the name of the sprawling piece of cross-platform malware that for more than 2 decades has been in use for espionage and sabotage. Snake is developed and operated by Torla, one of the world's most sophisticated ATPs, which is short for Advanced Persistent Threats, a term for long-running hacking outfits sponsored by nation-states. Read more at Ars Technica. Avast discovers and helps patch a major vulnerability. Avast researchers recently discovered a critical vulnerability being actively exploited in the wild. This vulnerability allows for local privilege escalation, which could potentially grant an attacker elevated permissions on a compromised system. Avast acted immediately following the responsible disclosure guidelines and reached out to Microsoft with their findings. Avast is happy to announce that a patch for this vulnerability is now available. Users are encouraged to update their systems as soon as possible. See the whole article on the Avast blog. YouTube is forcing some users to disable ad blockers. YouTube is cracking down on users determined to evade its ads and has given some of them an ultimatum. Turn off your ad blocker or subscribe to YouTube Premium. Ad blocking users who don't opt for either of those options won't be able to watch videos on YouTube at all. It looks like you may be using an ad blocker, the message on the pop-up reads, according to a screenshot shared on our YouTube. Ads allow YouTube to stay free for billions of users worldwide. You can go ad-free with YouTube Premium, and creators can still get paid from your subscription. Users are then given the option to disable their ad blockers or subscribe to YouTube Premium. Read more at gizmodo.com. FCC blocks robocall middleman ℏ𝕠𝕠𝕟 from future campaigns. The Federal Communications Commission today ordered voice service providers to block the global gateway provider ℏ𝕠𝕠𝕟. The FCC says the company, which serves as an on-ramp to U.S. phone networks from outside the country, enabled robocall scams like impersonating a major financial institution and calls about bogus pre-authorized orders placed in consumers' names. The FCC has focused on increasing its ability to enforce robocalls. This company, what's left of it, and will now have a place in robocall history, said FCC Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel. Read more at Engadget.com. New flaw in WordPress plugin used by over 1 million sites under active exploitation. A security vulnerability has been disclosed in the popular WordPress plugin Essential Add-ons for Elementor that could be potentially exploited to achieve elevated privileges on affected sites. WordFence, in its own advisory, said the critical vulnerability in the Essential Add-on for Elementor plugin is being actively exploited in the wild, and that it blocked 200 attacks targeting the flaw in the past 24 hours, making it imperative that users move quickly to update to the latest version. Read more on thehackernews.com. This week's must-see on my YouTube channel. Small Town, USA. Lewis, Milton, and Newcastle are just 3 examples of the many small towns and villages in Delaware that have played significant roles in American history. My plan is to cover 10 small towns within each state that had a great impact on our country's history. Please watch my video on that topic at the link listed. Did you know there were 2 AI chatbots created by Facebook that talked to each other, but they were shut down after they started communicating in a language they made for themselves? In life, all good things come hard, but wisdom is the hardest to come by. Thanks to Lucille Ball. And that's a wrap for this week's Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
Thank you, Bob. That was great. And we look forward to your more videos coming out about the history of small towns.
There's already 4 of them out there.
Yeah. Are you traveling to these places?
I wish I was. No, I'm not.
Okay.
But I have lived in a couple of them, especially the ones in Delaware.
Oh, cool. All right, great. Okay, Ray, are you ready to roll?
I'm going to try. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Okay, so the mini PC. This is going to be part 2. I did part 1 a few weeks ago, and just a quick review. I pointed out at that time that I had used an older Windows 10 PC, couldn't update this one to Windows 11. And I decided that would be a perfect first Plex server. And it does work quite well in the home for streaming movies. But I quickly learned that the AMD processor was not suited for transcoding that would enable me to share family photos and videos outside the home. So I purchased a B-Link mini PC, has an Intel i5 8th generation processor that can handle the transcoding required to share the media with my family. Now, what makes a mini PC unique is that it can contain sophisticated and modern hardware in a very small package that takes up little space compared to a typical tower PC or even a modern laptop. So the media on my Plex server includes theatrical movies. These I've been able to copy from Blu-ray and DVD discs that I own, music videos from discs, as well as, believe it or not, one-of-a-kind VHS tapes from years ago. Now I go to the trouble to take the time to edit the performance into individual clips saved by the artist name and the title of the song, as one would do with ripping an audio CD. So this way it makes it easier for me to bring up, say, a group of songs done by the same performer. Home movies taken with an 8mm camcorder in the 1980s and 90s, as well as my first venture into video going back to maybe the mid-1960s when I had a film camera. Now, these still need to be edited because some of these 2-hour-long camcorder cassettes have a beach and snow scenes together. You remember that, the days when we'd have one cassette in the camera and just take it out whenever we needed it. So anyway, I have TV programs, but not the shows. I really put under TV programs, documentaries, and special one-time shows. Family photos that have been scanned and filed by year in activity. And then, of course, as you would expect with me, the audio music ripped from my CD collection, as well as songs that I've downloaded. So copying between hard drives. I found that while I try to be good at organizing, sometimes I don't succeed. And I have many of the items I want to have on the Plex server on multiple different hard drives. So I purchased this device. It's a dual bay hard drive docking station. And I can clone drives for backup purposes without it even being connected to a computer. But when it is connected to the computer, it just is able to bring up those two, and in this example, those 2 hard drives as 2 additional drives in my file manager. Now, I specifically chose this docking station since it has a USB Type-C connectivity for faster processing. And I've talked about that before. You'll see this more and more on computers as we go forward. Size does matter. As one might expect, my home office has my main HP desktop computer with dual monitors. So an important consideration when purchasing a new PC for the same office was it had to be small in physical size. Now, to give you a better appreciation of how small a mini PC is, this picture shows my mouse placed on top of the computer. Yes, that square device under it is the computer. So as you can see, the mini PC and my mouse are about the same size. So what does it look like on the inside of the mini PC? Well, removing the 4 screws takes off the bottom cover and gives easy access to the 2 RAM sticks that the unit came with. Now, these installed from the factory are 16 gig in total, but it is expandable up to 32 gig. And then over here, this is the M.2 in this case, it's a 500 gigabyte solid state drive. And I did a presentation on this, probably a year ago or longer, where the M.2 is really going to be replacing, as we go forward, certainly big hard drives, and even SSDs, because as you can see how small it is, it's able to fit in a device like this. And then I wanted to add a second solid state drive to this mini computer. Well, that's pretty easy. You follow the instructions on the inside cover, and I was able to add it. And basically, I just had to take off a few screws here, drop in this PNY solid state drive, put these screws back, make sure that the ribbon was still connected, close it up, and I was done. Took a matter less than 10 minutes. So once again, a size comparison tower versus the mini PC. Left picture shows my old tower with down at the bottom, the mini PC laying in front of it. When you look at the center picture, that shows the inside of the tower with quite a bit of space not being used. And then, of course, the picture I just showed on the right, the inside of the mini PC, where all components are tightly packed but easy to get to. So there's the mini PC on my desk, and this is going to be a video showing you a little bit more. All right, here we go. I'm going to see how the new Plex server is working. So let's press the on button here. And we'll step back a little bit. And we'll see what happens. Okay, there's the B-Link mini PC name tag showing up. And it's continuing. Now you can see on top of this monitor, I do have a webcam, and this is one that does work with Windows Hello. So as soon as the booting up process is about finished, that camera should come on and see me and be able to sign me in automatically. So I'm going to get through there. Here it comes. It's taking a little longer than I thought, but it's reading the hard drives now. Okay, there we go. Camera's on, sees me, says welcome Ray, boom, and I'm signed in without having to enter any kind of passwords. So I'm going to go down and click on the link for Plex. And the only thing I really have set up properly on this one so far is the movies. So that's the only category I'm going to show today. So it comes up and it's showing some movies that have been on before, and I'm going to go down to the category over here called movies. And bingo, it's showing. So I have 288 discs that I've copied over, and I lent to my youngest daughter about 300 movies, and I'm going to get them back. And once they come back, I'll be able to load them onto Plex and then allow her to watch them from home with the Plex app on their TV. And so I can just scroll down here, and all the different movies that have been copied, my ones that I purchased are here, and it's working just fine. If I were to click on a movie like Eddie and the Cruisers, good musical movie if you haven't seen it before. Let me try that again. Here we go. And opens up just like you might normally see on a streaming service, telling you who the actors are and giving a synopsis of the movie, etc., information like that. So this will be working. If I wanted to watch it now, I just click on the word play over here. So I'm happy this is working the way it's supposed to, and I'm going to now take care of putting the other information that I need on it. And let me just close it down now, and that is it. Okay, so we're coming to the end of part 2. And in final comments, the mini PC in many respects can provide the latest in computer hardware while taking up a minimal amount of space. They could be competitively priced, as in my case, the one I purchased, or you can opt, as an example, for Intel's newest NUC 11 Extreme Mini. You can find this listed on Amazon for only $1,025. Now, this is worthwhile if you're, as an example, involved in high-end gaming or sophisticated graphics processing. In the coming weeks, I'll complete my setup and conclude with a part 3. Stay tuned. The end.
Very interesting, Ray. That's good stuff. We look forward to part 3.
Thank you.
There you go. Just before we get Hewie does his segment, just want to let everybody know about our premiere video today. I did put the link in the chat, and I will do that again. But we have 3 selections for you. I'm going to talk on mobile payments, how the mobile payments work, and how you can use those on your phone. Bill's going to talk about Windows tips and tricks, and Huey's going to talk about portable apps. Do you remember that, Huey? Portable apps. Yeah, you're going to talk about portable apps. So it should be a really good video, and that will be on at hour. So timeline. I always send my daughter my timeline. At least I did when COVID was here, and she could see I didn't drive very far, or she knew exactly where I went. So she kept track of me because she made me send her the timeline that I got once a month. So are you going to talk? That's what you're talking about today?
Yes, it certainly is.
So I don't think I have to send it to her anymore, do I? Because I think COVID restrictions are over now. I should be able to go out and have some fun, right?
You should.
All right.
But we're stuck behind the computer all the time.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, you can talk to her personally because you'll be here in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, we got to get her. We got to get her online here.
Actually, maybe she'll come on and yeah, that'd be cool. She does a lot of public speaking. All right, take it away.
Understanding Google's timeline and Google's My Activity. I'm Hewie Poplock. I received this email a few days ago, as I do every month, about my timeline. Let's look at it a little bit closer. You can't see it too much because it's a long email. So Hewie, here's your new timeline update. You're receiving this email because you turned on location history, a Google account level setting that creates timeline, a personal map of your visited places, routes, and trips. Your location history data can help you personalize Google experiences such as restaurant recommendations based on the places you've been. You can view, edit, and delete this data anytime in timeline. And then you can explore the timeline. And I have the location history on. Let's move down the email. You'll see that I did in April. I was in one region, which is the U.S. I visited 5 cities and 14 places. And I only drove 91 miles for the month. So I didn't go very far. Some of the places I visited was Bayshore Gardens, which is South Bradenton. This is just a generalized picture. It is not one of the places I visited. But these are, and that is the Target and Cortez Road backed up in traffic, and my favorite Grand Buffet, Chinese and other foods, as well as the Cortez Clam Factory. And it says it's a pizzeria, but it is Ibis, which is a restaurant in South Sarasota. And you could see all visited places by clicking that button. Since I didn't travel very far, I took a timeline map from an earlier time period, but it shows each place where you go to each month. It will show you where you drove and how you got there. So you can choose, and it will have several different maps for the month. This is the total. I've been to 48 cities, 636 places here in the U.S. I can manage my location history, and I can go to the timeline. I will show you how to get to this in just a moment. But this shows you my timeline, shows you where I've been, all the cities I've been over a period of time. If I click on most visited, it will show on the bottom a list of the places I've been at the most. As I zoom in on the map, it will show dots at each of the locations for whatever reason I have been at, and the number of places that I visited, you can see that are also showing on the bottom of this. Activity controls. The data saved in your account helps you more personalized experiences across all Google services. You can choose which settings will save data in your Google account. And now I have location history on. You may have it turned off. However, according to Google, these are the next 3 slides will show some information from Google. Explore your timeline, rediscover the places you've been and routes that you've traveled. What's location history? It helps you get useful information. For example, automatic commute predictions, improved search results by creating a private map of where you go with your logged in devices. You're in control. It's easy to change or delete locations, days, or your entire location history. You can turn it on or turn it off at any time. So in order to look at your timeline, and if you didn't get the email, you can go either to google.com/maps or click on the 3 lines at the top left. If you click on those, you will get a menu next to the map. And as you look down that menu, you're going to see where it says your timeline. When you click on it, it will take you to that. If you turn on extra verification, Google will make sure it's really you before you can see or delete your full history on My Activity. This can help you keep your history safer on shared devices. This setting only applies to My Activity. Your history will still appear in other Google products. I have it set not to require extra verification. Now, My Activity. I discovered this when I was putting the feature together about the timeline. And there is such a thing as myactivity.google.com or google.com/myactivity. Get to it either place. But what is it? The activity you keep helps Google make services more useful for you, helping you rediscover things you've searched for, read, or watched. You can see and delete your activity using the controls on the page. And this is the top of the page, and you'll see that I saw a video from Bob G, and then I watched another video, and then I went to Outlook and I looked at my Samsung settings. Well, I guess it's all Samsung, Android. I looked at the calendar and so on. So I did several things. The X to the right, you can delete any item that's on your list. And when you do, it will say deletion complete. The activity you selected is permanently deleted from your account and no longer tied to you. Let's take a look at my Google activity. One thing about it is that you can filter by date and product. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, it goes back several years. Well, you don't want to scroll down day after day after day because it's going to take you forever if you use your computer a lot, because it's going to show every place you've been and everything you've clicked on. So, but if you filter it by day and product, then you can hone in on the time period you're looking at, and you can try to go back as far as you can go. I clicked on this button on the filter, and you can put the before and after date, so you can take a time slice and see what you've done in that time slice. I took from May 12th to June 15th of 2022, a year ago, and you can see where I went and what I did, that time frame, at least a few of them, from starting at June 15th. I went to calendar, then I went to a couple of YouTubes, and so on. There are activity controls. The data saved in your account helps you give you more personalized experiences, but you can turn this on, you can turn it off, you can auto delete at a certain time, and you can delete from one period to another period. So some final words about the My Activity and the timeline. Google keeps My Activity data for up to 18 months, as I said, by default. However, users can delete specific activity or all activity from My Activity at any time. And here are the key details. My Activity stores data from various Google services like Search, YouTube, Maps, and so on. This includes search queries, videos watched, locations visited, and more. By default, as I mentioned, it saves it up to 18 months to provide personalized features and recommendations. Users can access their My Activity by visiting myactivity.google.com and logging into their Google account. From the My Activity page, users can delete specific activity, like a search query or location history, or delete all the activity within a specific time range. Deleting activity from My Activity removes it from Google systems and will not be used for personalization going forward. However, Google does retain some activity data for operational purposes like detecting abuse and security threats. This data is not used for personalization. To check Google's My Activity on an Android phone, open the Google app and tap the profile icon on the top right corner. Then tap Manage Your Google Account and select Data and Personalization or something similar to that from the left sidebar or below, and under Activity Controls, select My Activity. This page shows a timeline of your activity history with Google, including searches, YouTube videos watched, location history, and more. You can filter the activity by date range and by Google service. You can also pause or delete specific activity or delete all activity to clear your timeline. This is what it looks like on my Android phone, which is a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. Activity is on, my location history is on, and my YouTube history is on. And then as under today, I viewed some cards and discovered, in other words, I was looking for something. Then I used the search, and then I viewed my timeline. I visited Manage Your Location History, Google account help. Then I viewed the area around South Bradenton, and I used the maps. There are X's next to each one of those in which you can remove them from your activities. On an iPhone, you can track some activity data, but don't forget, it's not Google, it's an iPhone. So it does not, by default, keep track of all of your activities in a comprehensive manner. You would need additional hardware, settings changes, and apps to enable a more complete activity tracking on an iPhone. However, if you do use the Google on your iPhone, then you want to check your Google settings on that iPhone and see what information it is saving for you. This has been Understanding Google's Timeline and Google's My Activity. I'm Hewie Poplock. There you go. Remember that the timeline is based usually from your phone. So even if you're not driving, you're riding in somebody's car, it's going to keep track of where you've been.
Google knows everything, right?
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Hewie. Good one. All right. What is Docsis for? Let's find out. Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. What is Docsis 4.0 and why should you be interested in this? Let's have a look. So you really want to know what Docsis stands for. Docsis stands for Data Over Cable Service Interface Specification. That's DOCSIS. Bet you can't say that backwards. And what is Docsis? Well, Docsis is the software that runs your cable modem. So all of you that are getting internet through cable services, you need to pay attention to this because things are about to change. Now, Docsis is software that you have on your cable modem. So this is all about cable modem that is supplying your home with the internet. Now, as we've known over the past few years, internet is sort of important. If you go to buy a house, the first thing you look is location, and then if you're buying it in a rural area, you're checking the water to make sure that the water is good, because a home without water isn't much of a home. Well, you could make the same argument now about internet. There are two very different people, those who are connected to the internet with a fast connection and those who have a slow connection and can't even get connected. So it's a lot like that water in your house. You want to pay close attention before purchasing a property on how you're going to get internet. And this all feeds into what DOCSIS 4.0 is all about. So as the data moves to your cable modem, it has to be converted from the data transport system to a usable language that your computer can read and understand. And that is what the DOCSIS software does. It is the software that changes from the data transfer to making it a usable source for your computer. DOCSIS was actually developed in the early 1990s by a company called Cable Labs, and that was to facilitate high-speed data transfer over existing coaxial cables to infrastructure to be able to provide internet to your homes. So this is what the software was used for, and if you have a cable modem and your service provider for internet is cable, then you will be using DOCSIS. Didn't know that, did you? All right. Now, what is DOCSIS 4.0? Now, before we get into what exactly DOCSIS 4.0 is, I live in Canada on the West Coast, and all the internet service provided to the West Coast of Canada, I guess the west side of Canada, is all provided by Shaw Communication. It's a big cable company. And Shaw Communications purchased all their cable modem equipment from Comcast. So Comcast and Shaw are closely related. Both Comcast and Shaw have been working with DOCSIS 4.0, and it looks as though it's going to be released later in 2023 or early in 2024. So what does this mean to you? Is this a good thing, a bad thing? Is it going to cost you money? Let's actually look at what this is going to do. So let's look at my partner, Hewie Popluck, who is my co-host on our Tech for Senior show on Mondays. Hewie has fiber optic cable to his house. He has a fiber optic modem, and he has 1 gigabit down and 1 gigabit up. Now, you all should be aware that there's two speeds. There's this download speed and an upload speed. And why is that so? Well, if you go back to in the beginning when we were using internet, you'll find that when you click a request to go to a web page and say, hey, I want some more information about your web page, the data you send from your computer to that web page is not very much. It just says, hey, send me some more information. But then the web page has to send a lot of information back down to your computer. So very early on when we designed these systems, the upload speed wasn't that important, right? Because it was just a small request. The big issue was download speed. You really wanted lots of speed to gather that information. I guess you could say internet was a gatherer of information. But you know, that's all changed in the past 3 or 4 years. We now have Zoom. Zoom, right? And Zoom is certainly requires a faster upload speed because we're actually taking our data from talking and we're moving it up. So upload speed now has become very important in our modern communication using a Zoom, Meet, and all the various services we have. So my partner has 1 gigabit down and he has 1 gigabit up. Wow, that's great. I have a cable modem. So I have 1 gigabit down and I have about 100 megabits up. Why the difference? Why can't I be like Hewie and have the same thing? And that is because of DOCSIS. When the DOCSIS software was written, of course, as I mentioned, we required more download than upload. So DOCSIS 3.0 and 3.1 has sort of helped with that. The big thing about DOCSIS 4.0 is it's going to allow the upload speed of the theoretical upload speed of 10 gigabits. All right, what does this mean to you? Well, as cable companies later this year start to offer the DOCSIS 4.0 service, then you will need to purchase a new cable modem. No, you cannot just download some software and upgrade your existing modem. You will require to purchase a new DOCSIS 4 cable modem that will connect to your service. The advantage to this will be that it will offer you much higher upload speeds, which will certainly be beneficial to some people. It will always be backwards compatible, so if you have an existing DOCSIS modem, then it will work just fine, but you won't be able to get the higher speed rate with your older modem. Will this cost you more money? Well, it depends on how you have purchased or got your cable modem. If you are on a rental plan from the cable company, then they'll probably offer that as an option for you to swap it out. If you have purchased on your own a cable modem, then yes, you will need to repurchase another DOCSIS 4.0 modem. We have no idea what the cost of these modems will be, but based on prior experience, they're probably going to be between $150 to $200 for purchase. If you have an existing plan and you're paying the $10 a month to rent it from your cable company, they'll probably just swap it out. So that is what DOCSIS 4.0 is all about. You'll be hearing a lot more about it this fall as the cable services upgrade their systems. All right, maybe we'll have some questions about that in the Q&A. Bob, are you ready to roll?
6 tricks that won't secure your Wi-Fi and 6 that will. Thanks to Jason Fitzpatrick for his helpful article, which prompted this video. Please read his full article on how to geek at the link listed. There are a lot of Wi-Fi security tips that don't secure your Wi-Fi network against intrusion. So skip them and focus on the security-enhancing tips and tricks that do. Like anything related to computer and network security, quite a few often repeated Wi-Fi security tricks don't help at all. Here are the tips and tricks you should avoid, and an equal number you should be sure to use. Let's start by looking at the tips and tricks that don't do much or anything at all to secure your home Wi-Fi network. Not only do these tips do little to nothing to make your network more secure, they can make it a hassle for you and everyone else in your household to use the network. Hiding your Wi-Fi network name. If there were an award ceremony for bad security tips, the advice to hide your Wi-Fi network's name, the SSID or Service Set Identifier, would surely be the Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Changing your Wi-Fi network name is about as effective and security-wise as taking off a name tag at a social mixer and putting a new name tag on. Anyone paying attention certainly won't be fooled. MAC address filters. You'll waste a bunch of time managing the lists, and anyone trying to gain access to your network will just spoof an approved device or bypass your security another way. Disabling DHCP assignment. Do you know who becomes the DHCP server when there is no DHCP server? You do. It's a huge waste of time to turn off your DHCP server and manually manage every assignment. Assigning a static IP to every device. Save the static IP address assignments for when the times static IP addresses make sense, like assigning a static IP to a server or to a particular device that inexplicitly won't play nice with your router's DHCP server. Using an overly complex Wi-Fi password. Practically speaking, there's not much difference between a passphrase like Wi-Fi is awesome or FRQ4G blah 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 so on and so forth, except how much it frustrates you to type the ladder into your smart TV using the remote. Get the idea? Now let's get to the Wi-Fi tips that will actually secure your network. If your Wi-Fi router is ancient, replace it. We are always trying to save money, but if you want to save money on tech, then do so by using your old iPad for as long as it gets updates, or keeping your smartphone for an extra year before upgrading. Don't skimp on your router. Frankly, the role it plays in managing and securing your network is too important. Start fresh with a new SSID and password. Setting up your network from scratch is the surest way to kick everyone that doesn't belong off your network and ensure only the devices and people you want have access. It's a hassle, sure, but if you're taking the time to overhaul the security of your Wi-Fi network, then it's worth doing it right. Update your router's firmware. If the manufacturer has current firmware updates, install them. And if the last update to your router was years ago, you should consider upgrading your router. Use a WPA2 AES or better Wi-Fi encryption. WEP, WPA, and WPA2 TKIP are all insecure. You should instead use WPA2 AES, which has not yet been deprecated, or better yet, WPA3 if all the devices on your home network support it. Set up a guest network. Guest networks make it easy to keep your main network secure by handing out what amounts to a temporary password to visitors. To avoid common issues when setting this up, follow the tips offered at the link listed. Disable WPS and UPnP. As a general rule, you should disable any features on your Wi-Fi router you are not actively using, especially if those features have known vulnerabilities. It's up to you to make the choices that better secure an old router, but it's far better to recycle your old router, replace it with something new, and lock down a current router with up-to-date firmware instead. Stay safe. Stay secure. Secure your network and router. See you again soon. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
Thanks, Bob. Good information, really good information. Ray, before you get started, I just want to say goodbye to all our friends over on YouTube. We'll be stopping the show over on YouTube now. If you want to come over and participate in the Q&A, just come on over to our Zoom meeting, and there's still lots of room, and join us, and you can participate in the Q&A. Thanks, Ray. Take it away.
Luciano Pavarotti, a voice that soared beyond opera. Luciano Pavarotti, often referred to as the King of the High Seas, was an Italian operatic tenor whose incredible vocal abilities captivated audiences around the world. Born October 12, 1935 in Modena, Italy, Pavarotti's talent was evident from an early age. His voice possessed a rare combination of power, clarity, and an unmistakable warmth that made him one of the most celebrated and beloved opera singers of all time. Pavarotti's rise to fame began in the early 1960s when he made his international debut at the Royal Opera House in London, portraying the role of Rodolfo in Puccini's La Bohème. His performance was met with tremendous acclaim, establishing him as a rising star in the opera world. From that point on, Pavarotti's career soared to new heights as he graced the stages of prestigious opera houses across the globe. Now, what set Pavarotti apart was not just his vocal prowess, also his ability to connect with audiences on a deeply emotional level. His performances were characterized by an immense passion and a genuine love for the music he sang. Pavarotti also, he had a charismatic stage presence that drew people in, allowing them to experience the power and beauty of opera in a way they had never before. Now, beyond his operatic achievements, Pavarotti also became known for his collaborations with other musicians from different genres. He famously teamed up with renowned artists such as Bono, Sting, and Andrea Bocelli, transcending the boundaries of classical music and reaching a wider audience. Together, they created unforgettable performances that showcased Pavarotti's versatility and his willingness to embrace new musical experiences. Luciano Pavarotti's voice was a gift that brought joy and inspiration to millions of people around the world. His remarkable talent, combined with his generous spirit, made him an icon in the music industry and a true ambassador for the power of the human voice. Although Pavarotti passed away on September 6, 2007, his legacy continues to resonate, ensuring that his voice will forever echo in the hearts of those who had the privilege of experiencing it. So those above paragraphs were gleaned from OpenAI. From a personal perspective, in 1990, my youngest daughter spent a summer studying the arts and opera in Europe. While in Florence, Italy, her class had the opportunity to see Pavarotti perform in person. You can see from that above concert poster. And thanks to their opera instructor, he was able to arrange for them to watch the performance, but behind the side stage curtains. And during this sold-out concert, Pavarotti acknowledged their presence several times. So today's musical clip is from a three tenors concert held in 1994 at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles before an estimated worldwide audience of more than 1 billion viewers. That's billion with a B. How effortlessly he seems to sing.
I had a chance to see him live in concert in Vancouver many years ago, and he really was an amazing individual and had a great stage presence. For
Good.
sure. Yes, for sure.
I
All
saw
right.
him at the Met, so
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, anyway, listen, it's top of the hour, or a little 2 minutes past or 3 minutes past top of the hour. I want to thank everyone for coming today. We're going to be moving into our Q&A pretty soon. If you have any questions, we'd ask you just to put up your hand, and we'll get to those in just a second. But remind everyone that, of course, we have a Thursday show coming up this week. If you want to join us for all the tech news of the week, the Tech Gang will be there this Thursday. And then, of course, we will be back again the same time, same place next week. And Chris Gould will be here talking about photography. So that is usually a sellout crowd on our Monday show. So if you are planning in coming, make sure you get here early, because we may go over the 100 in our limit of spots. So make sure you get here early. We will, of course, be taping it, so you can watch it afterwards as well. We don't forget, think about June the 5th. Think about bringing a guest to Tech for Senior. Someone that might be interested in technology. Have them, if they have a Zoom meeting, just give them the Zoom information and bring them along. And if you even want, you can even introduce them. There you go. Maybe we'll get Ray to bring Carol. Maybe there'll be a good time to introduce Carol, right? And then we can all ask her if she wants to do a little talk for us. That'd be great. So that would be good. Anyway, and don't forget the premiere service we have at the at 20 minutes at half past the hour. Interesting. It should be a really interesting video for you today. All right, Hewie, you got the first comment or question. What do you?
Yeah, actually, a couple of comments dealing with some of the things that were presented today. One is the Pavarotti. I really enjoyed that. I've got to watch several of his videos. I'm helping a woman who does lectures on opera, which I have never been an opera fan, but because of helping her, I get to watch a lot of the videos on YouTube with opera. And the ones that really stand out to me are the ones that have the translation and the words in the closed caption. So you understand what they're singing and what's going on. And it's given me an appreciation for opera because I realize what they're doing. And it's so if you have any interest in opera at all, but you don't know the stories and so on, it's a nice way to learn about it or to enjoy it. The other thing was the small compact computer that Ray has. I've had a NUC. I'm on my second NUC now. The first one I had just got to be too old and just not powerful enough. The one I have now, I bought about, I think it was around, it's close to 3 years ago now, but it's so small, but it does have a little cutouts, or it has a little tabs on the back of it that will go through a plate that comes with it, and it will hang on the back of my monitor, so it doesn't even take up that much desk space like it did on Ray's. I've got it actually hanging on the back of my monitor, and I love it. And I think I've got a couple of pictures somewhere where it was opened up and they were putting in the memory and so on. So it's they are really nice, and you can get some pretty powerful ones.
For those, yes, for sure. And one of the exciting things I'm looking forward to, Hewie, is that I'm not sure, hopefully it will be this next year, is that YouTube will be actually automatically translating your videos into different languages. So that if you're watching so if you take our Tech for Senior, for example, if someone's watching it in Japanese, it would automatically simultaneously translate that into Japanese for them. So your videos would now be able to be seen with people with different languages. And that I'm really excited about, and that will be coming very shortly. Carl, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, I'm unmuted. I have a comment and a question. Question for Ray. With the M2 drives, how do you add another drive?
Well, the computer would have to have I'm not sure what size computer you're talking about, but if you're talking, mostly they'd have to have another slot to put another M.2 in.
Okay, so is it similar when you say slot, because that M2 is directly connected to the motherboard?
Right, but with a screw. So in other words, it's on it, and there's one screw at the top that holds it in place. If you wanted to exchange that with another one, you just unscrew it, take that one out, put the new one in, and you're done.
Oh, so you don't have two drives, you'd have a larger drive.
Right, you could have a larger drive. And now in the case of my Mini, the back cover is about the size of a typical 2.5-inch solid state drive. So they have it where there's a little slot, and they made the cover just deep enough. So what I did was just in that slot, put a new SSD, another 500 gig, and the ribbon, as you saw in the photograph, is already there. Plugged it in, put the screws back in, and it was done. And then now on that particular device, I have two solid state drives, an M.2 and the standard 2.5-inch.
And what's the advantage of the M2 for the user, or is it just a lower cost?
I don't know if it's lower cost, it's faster. It uses, and I can't remember the exact definition of it, but it uses an ability where it's much faster than even the fastest 2.5-inch solid state drive. NVMe, I believe, are the initials, but I don't recall what they stand for.
And thanks for the
Volatile Memory Express.
Okay, thank you.
And it's in order to get the M.2, you have to have a PCI Express bus on the motherboard, and you want to make sure it's at least a 4.0. The 3.0 is a fair bit faster, or slower, sorry. And the newest one that will be coming out is the 5.0, which is supposed to be another 10 times faster.
So it's a bus connection, right?
Yes, PCI Express.
We had the PCI years ago on computers too, didn't we? Out external.
Yeah, but they've improved the speed on them tremendously since then.
All right, the last comment I have is thank you, Ray, for the Pavarotti. I saw the three tenors here in Detroit when they were here for a concert at one of our big stadiums, baseball stadium. But you know what's interesting? I can't remember the names of the other two.
Placido Domingo is the second one, and I'm not remembering the third one myself.
Thank you.
Valera, was it? Or Caruso?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
It's Caracas, isn't it?
All right.
Whoops.
You have Drew, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just accidentally lowered my hand.
All right.
I have two computers, one with PCI Express 3 and one with 4. They both have NVMe hard drives in them, and I don't get a tremendous amount of performance difference between the two. But if you have a tower computer, you can order a daughter card that you can plop into an open slot inside your computer, and that card will have a slot where you can plug in one of these new NVMe M.2 hard drives. So you can actually add those new style hard drives to an existing computer if you are so inclined to do so.
Good information. Good information.
You can also get external enclosures for them too.
Yes, I have one of those as
You
well.
slide it into, and then you plug it into a USB-C port.
Yeah, I put the new hard drive in the small enclosure, cloned the internal drive to the external drive, and then swapped the drives around.
Yeah, I tried it with an external SSD one, and I booted off that, and I couldn't tell whether I was booted off the external one or the built-in one. It was virtually the same speed.
I have an
Yeah,
external
USB-C.
NVMe drive that I run virtual machines off of. It's fast enough that I can run a VM without it having any problems whatsoever. It doesn't have to be on the internal hard drive.
No, that's right.
For those of you who do have cable, still have cable internet, as I've said many times over the last few years, we're moving into 5G, and 5G will be the fastest way in which you're going to be getting internet. But as the cable systems try to keep up and are squeezing the last little life out of their cable fiber, coaxial cable, that's what I'm thinking. This will be an important step up, will be DOCSIS 4.0. So watch for that this fall as Comcast will be releasing it, as will the Shaw cable system. So
I don't have 3.1 yet.
yeah.
Comcast
And
is
I have
already
Comcast.
So is the Osborne factor going to take effect?
Well, you know,
Everybody's going to wait until the DOCSIS 4.0 before you buy a new router.
Well. Anyway, it's going to be something that will be. You'll start to see this happening probably this fall, and so that just so everyone understands what it's all about.
Yeah, Comcast around here has been advertising it on TV.
Right.
That it's coming, that they're bringing it to you.
Right.
They have this cute little show where they have a brother and sister that are only 1 year old apart from each other. And the older brother is saying, "Oh my God, I can't imagine what it's like for you today. Yesterday we had it so bad."
Right. Right. But just so everybody understands, this only pertains to people that have cable. We're talking about cable, not, if you have fiber like Hewie, well, then it's 1 gigabit down and 1 gigabit up. We all want to be like Hewie, right? But even at that, that's still going to be pale in comparison of the capability of 5G as we move forward. So I keep saying to everybody, this is changing monthly. So if you're looking at options, you always want to be looking at the 5G options for your local local internet provider, because cost wise, the future is not going to be in Starlink or Amazon's Kuiper. That's going to be fine for people that are very in rural areas. But the real thing that you really want to watch for is 5G. And that's where you should be talking to T-Mobile and Verizon and all the different services that are offering you home internet service through 5G. And it'll be the cheapest as well.
Dick had his hand up. I don't know if he raised it on purpose or.
Don't know.
I did, but I was going to ask whether that Docsis applied to the wired cable as opposed to fiber. And so you answered.
No, it's only cable. It also gets a little more confusing because in Canada with Shaw, because Shaw is a relatively recent company, I'm saying, you know, their cable acquisitions occurred in that probably the last 15, 20 years, is that it's the backbone of what they run on is fiber. In other words, the technicians that were here a couple of months ago were saying, look, Ron, he said, up there is on the hill that's where the fiber comes in, and it's just coax from that service point down to your house. So even cable systems are all running on fiber, right? But some of the older systems and some of the older mom and pop systems, which we really don't have in Canada anymore, are all running on cable. And this will make a big difference for those, because it's, you know, they really want to squeeze every ounce of speed out so people don't leave them as they are, and they're flocking away from them now. So really, cable is not where you want to be. It's going to be 5G, but it could potentially offer you an option if you don't have any other options and you want to increase that upload speed. We constantly see, Hewie and I and Bob and, you know, the usual gang that we travel around with, always see people having trouble with Zoom. And it's because a lot of times their packages it's such a slow upload speed. It just doesn't work. And it just doesn't work. And those are old packages that have been around forever. And sometimes they don't have the option of increasing that upload speed. So that's where this will really probably have a big effect. So think about it. It's not applicable for everybody, and certainly only for those people that this may be beneficial for. But Bob, I didn't see that. I didn't see the Comcast. Who was talking about the Comcast? That's a good commercial. I hadn't seen that. I don't see those up here. So that's interesting. They're starting to advertise already.
I don't see them either in New Mexico, and that's Comcast.
Yeah.
Florida, yes.
Yeah.
I have a nephew that lives in Florida, and he also has Comcast, and he's always bragging about how quick Comcast
right.
is. I said, maybe you should send those same people over to New Mexico. Here, they're slow as molasses.
These services are always based on population.
That's correct.
The more customers they can get, that's where they're going to put the latest and greatest.
Right.
Well,
and certainly,
I pay for 800 down, and 25 is the maximum up.
Right.
And I get about 745 out of the 800.
Right. But it's not. But Drew, that's not. I mean, that's pretty good download. It's the upload that's the killer. You know, that's a really low upload speed.
Yeah, it's 24 is the best I do.
But the worst part about that is when I had that sort of package a couple of years ago, is that it's not 24 up, because, you know, when I want to do it and I want to do a Zoom meeting, it's 6 or 8, you know, it's not constantly 24, and that just kills it. That's just doesn't work. So that is hopefully what Docsis 4 will solve.
Yeah.
All right,
Bob, what is the upload you get when you're home?
At home now with the new one, I'm at 16. I was at 6.
Okay, so 6 was working for you, though.
Yeah, it was working for me. 16 is working better.
Oh, yeah.
Although I have, you know, I didn't have any problems with 6. My uploads were working fine. That's why I sometimes don't understand why Ron is still freezing. Yep. Because he has certainly got a whole lot more than 6 or 16.
Yeah, I got to.
the services like Zoom go out of their way to make them work properly, even with low upload speeds, because
right.
they know that's what the majority of us have.
Right.
I run with 8, and today it worked fine. So
Mhm.
kudos to Zoom.
Yes. All right. Listen, it's time that we have to leave. Don't forget, we have our premiere service coming up in 10 minutes. Sit back, relax, enjoy it. And we'll see you back next week. Remember, it'll be Geeks on Tour, Chris Gould next week. And we're going to be talking about photography. So be sure and get here early. See everyone on Thursday for our Thursday show. And
Bye, everybody.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.